everybody. So in this week's video, we'll be talking about the third yama, which is Asteya. And so in our first week, we discussed the first yama, which is ahimsa. The second week, we talked about satya. And this third week is Asteya. Non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing. And all of these are part of the yamas, which are the very first branch of the eight-limbed path, the Ashtanga Yoga path, as outlined by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, which is our document to reference when we're learning what alignment is and what harmony is, and how yoga relates to alignment and harmony, between inner harmony and outer harmony, coming into balance, yoga, union. And so Asteya, non-stealing, what does that mean? What does it mean to practice non-stealing? And I invite us all to contemplate on this topic, not in a sense of like needing to refrain from shoplifting, for example, and outright stealing, but where in our consciousness are we, or in our lives, are we taking more than we need? Where are we consuming instead of creating or participating? And stealing implies that there's another to steal from. And so we see that yoga is the science of non-duality. Yoga is describing the experience of non-duality, and it's both the means and the end, meaning if our experience in this moment is not of non-duality, there are ways to actualize non-duality. And it's not a concept on that level. Yoga is not a concept, it's an experience that if we do things a certain way and we set up the conditions appropriately, then non-duality becomes our reality. And that's very important to understand, because sometimes we look at the yogic framework and we see like, oh, I have to be this way or that way or this way, and if I don't, then I won't experience non-duality. And I think that sometimes that can get us stuck in a certain concept or a conceptual trap. But really, our experience of non-duality is our remembrance of the space that's already here. Our remembrance of the fact that we are already connected to life, and that we don't need to do anything about that. We just need to relax and be in that space of yoga, be in that space of oneness. And when we relax and we're in that space of oneness, we're not harming, we're truthful, and we're not stealing. And so with Asteya, just thinking about this conceptually, but also practically, what does it mean to not take something that's somebody else's and adopt it as mine? Just think about that for a moment. How often do we take other people's thoughts or opinions and we internalize them and we make them our own? That's the nature of society and culture, right? It's like the world is just pressuring us to be a certain way. But how many of that is actually true? How many of that is actually our own inspiration? And so what does it mean to act from a space of true inspiration that's coming from within but not taken from without? And so I think Asteya for me is a lot, well, it's deeply related to this idea of authenticity. This idea of just being in alignment with who we are and without needing to acquire anything to validate that. Not needing anything to be different than what it is, to steal from this, to take from this, but just to be as it is. And then that's yoga, that's the completion, that's the wholeness. And so practice this for a week, this idea, non-stealing. Think about it, contemplate, see what it means for you. What does it mean not to take, but to give? And how might this apply in the practice, in the yoga sadhana, especially in reference to the 5 principles? Thinking about what does it mean to take a breath versus receive a breath? Where might I be stealing my own joy when I'm practicing? Stealing my own joy or giving it away? These are just some thoughts I'm having, hoping to share with you all. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Namaste.